Giant's e-MTB range has become extremely popular with riders right across Australia and the world for a few key reasons. They're incredibly reliable, they've got great handling right out of the box, and they've got the Grunty Yamaha motor, which offers heaps of grunt and is exclusive to Giant. No other manufacturer uses that motor. But if there's one thing you could say about Giant e-bikes to date, is they're not exactly lightweight beasts. Well, that was until now. Feast your eyes on this. This is the brand new Giant Trance X Advanced Carbon Elite. It's the first deep into the lightweight, sort of above mid power. It's got full power. It's 19 kilos, 85 Newton meters of torque. This thing is an absolute fire rocket. So let's talk about some of the other specs of the new Trance X Elite. This bike is coming with a full carbon frame. It's in 4 models. There's also 4 frame sizes, small through to XL. All of the bikes are completely carbon except for the lowest spec model, which has an alloy rear end. Now, it's a mullet setup, and what that has allowed Giant to do is actually reduce the rear end of the bike. So this is the Maestro system, obviously. They've been able to shorten that rear end. It's now 447 millimeters, which makes it really playful and nimble with that 27.5 rear wheel. It's done a fantastic job. Now that brings us to the next point, suspension. 150mm in the front, 140 in the rear. Of course, being an e-bike, it's all about that power. Now I told you already, it's got the 85 Newton meter torque. It's got the smallest Yamaha motor we've seen, extremely compact. We'll get onto that in a second. And inside the bike is a 400 watt hour battery. Now, if 400 watt hours doesn't quite sound like enough for you, keep in mind you can also get an auxiliary battery that goes on here, gives you another 200 watt hours of range, so that gives you a total of 600 watt hours. On a 19 kilo e-bike, mate, that's plenty of juice if you're asking us. Now, Giant haven't finished there. There's plenty more to be excited about this bike. We've got the inbuilt display here, and we've got this really small remote over here which lets you select between the modes. Now, talking of modes, there are 5 different modes inbuilt with the bike when it comes stock. And one of them is a smart mode, which essentially selects between all of the different power modes from eco all the way to boost, without you having to do a thing. It listens to the amount of force you're putting in, and it gives you just the amount of juice, so you're going to get the maximum ride at all times, which is something we really love. Now, I'll confess, I've actually owned a Giant Rain E Plus right now. It's my go-to e-bike. But if there is one thing about the bike, apart from it's a little hefty, there's the one thing I notice is I do bash the down tube here. The frame protector does a great job, but this motor from Yamaha is the most compact they've ever made. It's a full inch narrower, so it's giving you a lot more trail clearance. And yeah, ridden this bike for a couple of days now, absolutely no scuff marks under here. Now, all of those features might sound pretty good, and there's plenty we haven't even touched on yet, and it definitely looks amazing. It's got to be the cleanest silhouette I've ever seen from a Giant e-bike. This bike has definitely put them into a category of e-bike that's right up there. But how does it ride? Well, we've traveled to Utah, to the desert, to find out firsthand, so let's check it out. All right, so we've spent 2 pretty big days riding out here on this kind of moonscape trail system, kind of like a Moab thing. Absolutely amazing trails. But it gave me a really good opportunity to test out this thing for itself. Now, when you jump on the bike, the first thing you're going to notice, the first thing I noticed, is that 85 Newton meters of torque. This is a full powered e-bike, but extremely lightweight. As soon as I jumped on the bike, whoa, falling off the back, it's definitely got a lot of pepper. I knocked it straight down a couple of power modes straight away. And for me, normally I'm a boost all the time kind of guy. The motor is incredibly silent. Yamaha have done a great job with this thing. Definitely a big plus. But I think the thing that really stands out the most for me on this bike is the mullet wheel setup. Absolutely perfect. It's one of the first times I've ridden an e-bike with mullet. That 27.5 wheel just tracks so nicely behind the 2.9. You get all advantages of the 2.9. Really love that. And then of course the lightweight factor. You can pick the bike up, place it on the line, extremely nimble. And that's something that made the ride experience, especially because we're riding trails I hadn't ridden before. Got a lot of get out of jail free cards. Meant to be over here, up, move the bike. Takes a little bit of effort and you're good to go. Really love that. Now there's one other thing that Giant have really emphasized with the new bike, and that is connectivity and adjustability, because we all know when you're going to invest 10 plus grand on your e-bike, you get home and you're going to want to kind of tune into your own little preferences. and this bike is going to give you plenty of options for that. There's an app that's already available online, free to download, and it syncs right to the bike and lets you adjust all of those little settings, 5 presets. There's tons of customizers in this thing. App's super user-friendly. We've used it a bunch throughout this ride. Often, I'll admit, I don't really use the apps that come with bikes, but that one is one that's certainly been awesome, and I just think is a real big plus that the Giant are now kicked on with. So there we have it, guys. This is one of the best bikes we've ridden in the e-bike category. It's definitely a class leader, I'd say, from Giant. They've already got some nice e-bikes, but this thing really pushes them right up into that like kind of dream model bike. This is a bike we can't wait to spend a lot more time on. As I said, 4 models coming to Australia. Really looking forward to spending a lot more time on this bike. These guys are serious about e-bikes. They've been in the game for 25 years now, just in e-bikes. They've been making bikes for 50 years. Giant are leading the way once again.